Hello everybody, this is Yogi for day 20 of the 30-day video challenge that I'm doing in June. And today I want to talk about reading. I have a goal of reading 52 books this year. And in particular, actually reading and listening for 30 minutes a day, every day in June also. In addition to the video challenge I'm doing and a few other things. I'm a little bit behind in my goal of reading 52 books. I have read 19 books so far, and if I were on track, I would have read 24 or 25 this year. But I think I'll make it this time. I have had this goal for a few years, but never really made it, and this time I think I'm on track. I did not read much as a child, other than textbooks, that is. So this 52 books is definitely a stretch for me. I started reading personal development books in 2000s when I came for my PhD to Cornell. And since then, I have been reading books about personal development, of course, psychology, spirituality, biographies and autobiographies, and things of that nature, right? In this video, I want to talk about the habit of reading and how to develop that habit, and those who would like to develop a consistent habit of reading, how to go about doing it. A disclaimer though is that I don't read fiction much. I would like to read more, but I don't read much right now. So what I talk about in this video, the thoughts here are, I don't think they're specific to nonfiction, but just a disclaimer. I read mostly non-fiction. I do not read a lot of fiction. Maybe like a couple novels a year is my cadence for that, which I want to ramp up more this year. In rest of the video, I want to talk about 3 habits we can develop to read more consistently and read more effectively. The first habit I want to talk about is read every day. It really helps to have a habit that you can do every day, like 7 days a week, not 5 days a week, not 6 days a week. I think reading 7 days a week, I think is easier than reading 5 days a week. It's a bit counterintuitive, but the brain doesn't have to decide every day, is this the day I'm not reading or is this the day I'm reading? It's actually you're reading every day. Doesn't have to be any specific time. But I think 30 minutes a day is good. But if you can spare 5, 10, 15, whatever time, but make it consistent. Also, you actually don't have to just read. You can listen to book nowadays. There are various resources for listening, like Audible is a good tool. But recently I found this app called Libby. Somebody in Conscious Growth Club suggested this app, and I really love it. I've listened to a few books on Libby. What you do is you get an account with a public library in your city, and Libby connects to that public account in the public library, and you can borrow books for free for 21 days for listening. And I've listened to books like A Walk in the Woods, Unbroken was another book. And various other books I've read on Libby. You can listen while cooking, walking and exercising, while driving. There's so many opportunities. So if you have hard time sparing 30 dedicated minutes for reading, listening to audiobooks is a great way to actually get some listening and reading time in. The second approach or second habit one can develop to read effectively is to read as if you are developing a friendship and developing a social circle. I used to read books cover to cover, focusing on each line, being very concerned about understanding every line, and I realized that it was not very effective. Sometimes a few weeks after reading the book, I wouldn't even remember the main points of the book. And I realized it's actually not very effective to get bogged down into details so much that I miss the big picture. Last year I read a book called Effortless Reading by Wu Tran that suggested another idea which I really like. It talks about consider reading a book like building a friendship. Books have been compared to friends for a millennia by many people. There are many quotes around that. But actually, when I think about it, we don't treat books as friends. We read them once and never get back to them. Consider a friendship where you meet a friend, hang out for some time, have a good time, and you never see them again. That's not a friendship. And Wu suggests reading books as if you're developing friendship, the way we interact with friends, the same way we interact with books. We read books once to skim them over, understand some or get some basic gist of the book. Then in a few weeks, few months, we get back to it, and we keep getting back to it. And some books, not every book we have to get back to, but some books, maybe 100 or 150, 200, few books that you keep dear to you and you get back to them every year or every few years or every few months. You go over them, refresh your understanding of the book, get to know it a little bit more deeply and more intimately, and learn a lot more as a result. The analogy of considering a book as a friend can be extended further by thinking of reading multiple books as developing a social circle. When we are reading multiple books in the same area, we are kind of developing various connections between books and understanding the same concept from multiple viewpoints. Mortimer J. Adler, in his book How to Read a Book, he talks about this idea called synoptic reading. We're reading multiple books at the same time or one after the another to get deeper understanding of a subject than any one book can give you. And that's like developing a social circle if books are friends. Another important thing to keep in mind while reading a book or reading in general, is that there's a difference between reading long form, like a detailed articles or books, versus snippets of small articles on the internet. It's much more satisfying for me to read long articles and books in particular, because it actually gives me a deeper understanding of the topic at hand. There's something to show for at the end of the reading, rather than browsing through a bunch of articles and feeling empty at the end of it. I used to browse random articles on the internet, but now I try to focus more on the areas I want to learn about and then read books in those areas, or read long form articles and long form journalism about those topics. And that's something you can use to get deeper understanding of some areas. The third step or third habit to develop to get more out of reading is to learn some reading techniques and techniques for comprehending better. One is to comprehend better. If you write the summary of a book after reading it, it actually helps us retain a lot more of the book than otherwise. And this summary doesn't have to be a lot of details. It can just be a few points, maybe 3 points that you learn from the book, and a few quotes that moved you, and that's all. This will also help you when you get back to this book later, let's say for a second or a third or a fifth read a few months and few years down the road, to remember where you left off the last time, so you can next time, instead of starting from square zero, you're actually starting from 1 or 2 notches up and get a deeper understanding of the book. Another useful habit to develop is to learn to read books in multiple stages instead of cover to cover for a better comprehension. One technique that helps with this is photo reading, that helps to get successively deeper into the book. It has 5 stages where the first you just skim through the book in 20 minutes and actually even less than that. And then over time you pick some important words from the book and then you ask specific questions what you want to get out of the book, and then you specifically focus on certain parts of the book. So it's not cover to cover reading, but follow reading folks claim that this actually gives better comprehension. I have used that technique for some books and I'm really happy with that. I don't use it for all the books, but just having the technique and using it once in a while is actually pretty good. Actually, that gets me to another point, that learn to read different books with different speeds and different techniques. Not all books are made equal. Some books are made to be read slow, and some books are made to be read fast. I make this mistake all the time, that I'm either reading all books fast or all books slow, and that's just not how books should be read, I feel. If we compare books to friends, then not all friends are the same. They have different personalities, and same way the books have different personalities. There are also techniques around speed reading that help to skim book faster and read books faster. Some techniques claim that you can improve your speed by 3x, 4x. I'm not really sure about the exact improvement, but there's some simple techniques like not sub-vocalizing and or carrying a pencil through the book and just reading down and not going back. Those simple techniques can help improve the speed quite a bit. So let's conclude. In summary, we talked about three habits for reading books effectively. 1, read every day. Build it a habit. Pick whatever amount of time you can devote to it, and then devote that amount of time. Number 2, think of books as friends. The more you hang out with them or read them, the more layers you understand about them. Number 3, make the comprehension of the book last longer by doing multiple levels of reading, writing a summary, either privately or on the internet through a blog or however you feel comfortable. So that's all I have for today. Hope you find this at least somewhat helpful, and I will see you later. Hasta luego. Bye-bye.